So in India, again in Hindu culture, and this is a commonality that we share with other cultures as well. Okay, snakes are considered very, very sacred.
That's interesting.
Okay, and if you ever really talk to a Hindu researcher about what we call Nagas loosely translates to snakes. Nag translates to snakes. But when we use the word Naga, we're talking about a higher being that occupied the same geography that we once occupied. I mean, that we occupy today.
Interesting.
India was also home to the Nagas, who were a higher species, and they were benevolent, and
Which were nothing to do with snakes, though. They were just a higher being.
they were reptilians.
They were reptilian. Okay, interesting.
And they're represented by snakes. So when we have Naga temples today, we also assume that the higher beings, again, this is kind of in a Joe Rogan zone, but the higher beings also occupied the same geography that we do.
Interesting.
The reason I'm bringing all this up is because I remember you and me had a very interesting conversation in Vantara
Yeah.
about snakes being a commonality all over the world in terms of culture, and
That's right.
people considering them sacred.
Without a doubt. Whether it's African cave paintings or here in India, which I did not have that understanding, Native Americans with rattlesnakes, and globally, Australian Aboriginals, everybody had this, I think, respect for snakes. Fear, but more respect.
Yeah. It's also considered a huge sin in our culture to kill a snake or to witness the death of a snake.
I think that's great. Well, at least the kill a snake part. Yeah. I think it's great that it's considered a sin to kill a snake. In Africa, even in extreme poverty, I've never seen, at least where I grew up in Zimbabwe, Southern Africa, anybody eat a snake. But we have a lot of animals. You know, we have so many big animals, similar to India. I've never seen anyone eat a snake, ever. Starving children, everything. I've seen them kill snakes. Like, oh, there's a mamba in the village or something. Kill the snake, throw it out. I've never seen anyone eat a snake. But in Thailand, Cambodia, certain places in Indonesia, they farm snakes for food. You know, and there's cobra farms and all kinds of things. And that relationship with snakes is very hard for me to understand because have I ever eaten snake? I don't think I have. I don't recall ever eating snake, but it's certainly not a desirable meat. You know, not when you can have a chicken or something like that. So it's very hard for me to understand why any culture would have a relationship with an animal that's not necessarily a good food animal and yet farm it for food. Even knowing that traditional Thai culture and traditional spirituality also has this spiritual connection to snakes. It's very strange. I don't know the answer. I'm just telling you. Yeah, I've seen it.
Again, I'm talking to the conservationist here now. What have you learned about this being?
Snakes?
Yeah.
As a wildlife biologist, well, first of all, they're incredibly villainized the world over. Like I was mentioning, they kill them on sight most places, you know, regardless of the species. And most of that comes from a lack of understanding and education. What's really funny is oftentimes the less educated you are, the less you villainize them. For example, when I was...
the less educated you are, the less you villainize them.
Yes. So I'll give you an example of what I mean. When I was in the Amazon, this is maybe going 4 or 5 years ago now, we were loading our canoes once in the Colombian Amazon, and the snake came rushing into camp. Like it just came cruising down the hill, right? We were loading the camps in the river, and this big green snake came running, like I'm cruising down the hill, and like 2 or 3 people, like kids, screamed and jumped back. And then some guy came over and just picked it up and started playing with it. And I don't remember what it was, actually, and I'm pretty good with my snakes. And there was like this yelling at each other in Spanish, or I think it was actually a native Indian language. And they were yelling at each other. And I asked our translator, I was like, what's going on? He said, oh, it's not a venomous snake. So instead of killing the snake on sight, these are people who don't know how to read, don't know how to write, don't have cell phones or internet or anything like that. They knew that this was a non-venomous snake. And the one guy caught it and was showing it off to the children to say, you don't need to harm this snake. This is not a harmful snake. And then put it back in the grass and off it scurried. And yet, when I say less educated, they have no access to school, nothing like that, children. And yet you go to Nevada in America, where everybody has access to education and internet and everybody has an iPhone and everything else, and they see a snake and they kill it on sight. Doesn't matter if it's a gopher snake or a rattlesnake. Gopher snake's harmless, rattlesnake's venomous. They kill it because snake's a snake, you know, and I don't care if it, like, they're all dangerous, you know, and they're much more educated, and yet they have less respect for the animal than the people who have no education.
No solution here as well.
The solution is the right kind of education, which means taking 1 minute out of your day, of one day of your life, to learn the difference, and I'm going back to my experience, between a rattlesnake and a gopher snake. The pattern is different, the head shape is different, the tail is different. Okay, this one is very harmful, this one is not. The one that's harmful, just leave it alone. You don't have to kill it. The one that's not, if you want to play with it, you can play with it because it's not harmful. It's an exchange of an interaction that might be very positive for you and might be positive for the snake. Snake doesn't mind getting picked up. It really doesn't. But leave the other one alone. But it's the right kind of education. It's just a little bit of identification.
What's the positive that the snakes can possibly give you as a human when you're interacting with them?
Oh, a lot of good feelings. I mean, it's a phenomenal feeling to take something that is Medusa's hair, is Cleopatra's death bearer, the asp and all these things, and then to have a peaceful interaction with something the world thinks is deadly. It's a phenomenal experience to feel that way. And I think when you're at Ventara, I can mention several names. There are some phenomenal snake keepers there. And you see that passion for this bizarre creature, this long noodle of death, And then on the flip side of that, I don't think that snakes necessarily love. I can tell you my snakes love being held by me. I have 2 rosy boas, small Native American boas. They love being held by me. Why? Because one of them I had for 15 years. It knows me. It knows my smell. I'm very warm, and it's a cold-blooded animal. As I was saying, ectothermic, getting heat from the environment. So when I put it on my arm or my hand, it gets to warm up by me holding it. It feels nice. It's a positive interaction for both of us. Yeah.
You feel nicer after holding it.
Absolutely. Positive. And I think the snake does too. Yeah.
Weird question, but have you actually gone to the interiors of China?
Never. I've never been to China. Only to Hong Kong. Yeah.
They say that there's some pretty crazy wildlife.
I'd love to go. I'm trying to go in March of this upcoming year.
Really?
Yeah. To Shanghai and then out from there. Yeah.
Do you get a chance to explore native culture in America?
I have the chance. I'm very fortunate in the regard of I have the chance to explore any of that as much as I like, and I don't choose to. So that's my own downfall. But the United States, it's funny because I've been to 80 countries now, something like that, 85 countries, and I've probably been to 6 states in the United States.
Really?
I don't spend enough time in my own backyard, and I should, because the U.S. is incredible. Some of the highest freshwater fish diversity, highest turtle diversity, great mammals, incredible lands. There's great stuff there, but I don't spend enough time there.
It's wild to me that you've gone to like Chambal Valley, but not traveled in USA.
Yeah. I've never been to South Dakota or North Dakota, but I've been to Chambal. Yeah.
That's crazy.